It's Guild Ball Tonight, your independent source for Guild Ball news, information, and conversation. Episode 14 for June 18th, 2015. All right, and indeed, welcome to another episode of the Guild Ball Tonight podcast. This is your host, Phil, and with me, as is almost always the case, is my co-host, Bill.
Man, I've dropped from always to almost always. I guess I'll take that.
Well, you know, I usually say always, and then I keep catching myself on episodes of my shows where my co-host isn't around saying, you know, not here tonight, even though I always say always. So I'm trying to make a point of being slightly more accurate with these things. Although it has been quite some time since you have been absent, so we will give you credit where credit is due.
Well, like I said, I'll take that. I mean, I take the beating, take the praise, either one. How you doing tonight, Phil?
I'm all right. I do have one question, and that, of course, is what's in the box. But we'll get to that. So, what are we going to talk tonight? We're gonna hit some news items, of course. We're gonna have some more match reports. We're going to talk about third-party accessories for Guild Ball. It's should be an interesting conversation. And then, of course, we're going to wrap up with as many of your Twitter questions as we can get to, as is usually the case. So there's our agenda. So let's go ahead and launch right into the news. So, Bill, you got a mat, right?
I did get a mat, and as a matter of fact, I just recently got a request to go into Backer Kit and pay the shipping that I forgot to roll into my Indiegogo campaign and send them even more money for goodies and, pay for my mat.
So wait a minute. Goodies?
Yeah, goodies.
Goodies. Okay, so...
Goodies.
So we do need to make sure everybody knows what's going on here. So for those of us who backed the neoprene game mats on Indiegogo, there was a bit of a low-level ruckus among backers when the cost for those mats at independent retailers wound up being slightly less than what we paid on the crowdfunding site. Now, at the time, the price that we paid on Indiegogo was the anticipated regular retail price for the mat. And if you live in the UK, you actually got free shipping, which made it a good deal and something of a discount. But I don't think that Steamforge had really anticipated that the vendors who carried the stuff would be discounting it when they set that price. You know, pretty much every step along the way for Guild Ball is a learning experience.
Now, Phil, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit, this whole, some people are getting it cheaper and there's a ruckus and everything.
Yeah.
Clearly, I am the least competent social networker out there. Because I found this out by getting an email saying, we're so sorry that everybody is upset about something that I knew nothing about.
Well, like I said, it was a very small ruckus.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, did they put the mat order in and then turn around and offer it to sale? Or is this, do you know, is this retailers who also went through the Indiegogo?
Well, no, it's retailers anticipating the product. So what they've done is, these mats are going to be a regular item. Those of us who backed it on Indiegogo are just we're basically doing a pre-order, right? And we'll get that first batch. But of course, it's going to go into the regular retail rotation and it's going to be available elsewhere. So a few places do have it available via pre-order. So, so what ultimately ended up happening was that Steamforged has decided to offer some perks as a response to the not, like I said, not broadly held, but vocally held bad feelings about that situation. So what you're going to get is that if you were a backer for the mats, without doing anything else, you are going to get an exclusive foil card of either Ox or Shark, depending upon which mat you purchased.
And Phil will be getting both.
I'll be getting three.
Or three.
Of them. And let's not talk about that again. So anyway. So you're going to get the foil card. Now, what you also have the option to do is to purchase, and yes, some people have complained that these are purchases. Can't make everybody happy. It's a good deal. You've got the opportunity to purchase some discounted or hard to get or unknown items. Okay, so let's go through this. Discounted. One of the options is a full team, so that's the starter box plus the 3 additional figures, plus a rule book for £60.
Which is 12 pounds less than I think I figured it out. It was 12 pounds less than picking all that up separate, which I think is a great deal.
It is a great deal. I mean, it's almost $20 once you do the U.S. conversion. Plus, it should roll in with the shipping you've already paid. You know, you got to figure that in too. That's like another $10.
Yep.
So that's a really good deal. Now, I know that most of the people who are buying the mat probably have a rule book, probably have many teams. But, you know, your friends don't have all that stuff. This is a really great opportunity for you to round up your friends who are still interested in getting this game and saying, hey, you want a team and a rule book? I can get you a deal. Have them go in, PayPal you the money, you know.
Exactly.
Job's a good one. So it's a great opportunity for your friends. Might be a good opportunity for you. Depends on if you've got the book or not, or you want another one. All right, so the hard-to-get items. So they have made the limited edition Kraken and limited edition Boiler available for order through the Indiegogo fulfillment. So
which is nice because that way those people in the U.S. who didn't make it onto the site during one of the various shows can now do the order.
Right, and even though Kraken will probably be available a couple more weekends over the course of the year, Boiler is a little harder to get. I mean, he did pop up very briefly a few weeks ago when they found a supply of him, apparently. But you know, that one might not come around every day, and it's a cool little slight variation on Boiler, so it's a fun piece to have. All right, and then who knows what? All right. This is the one that is most intriguing to everybody. So you can get a mystery box. What's in the box?
Now, technically, you could get
you could get 4 boxes. You could get any number. You can get 4 different mystery boxes and any number of each.
Right.
So what are they? It's 1 pound, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, I believe is the breakdown. Those are the 4 sizes of mystery box. And of course, because it's a mystery box, we don't know what's in any of them. And of course, that's driving some people crazy. I just look at it and say, all right, I'll get the large one, right? Because I'm me and I have no respect for
now, the real question
money.
Is, Phil,
yeah.
Did you get 2 since you backed it on 2 different, Indiegogo pledges? Did you get the largest box on both backer kits?
No. I showed some restraint. I got 1 box. I got one.
You sure you didn't get the large on one backer and then the smallest on the other?
Don't give me any ideas. I can still go back and fix these things. So no, I got 1 large box because. I'm hoping that the truly insane will be treated well, and so it's a mystery box. What could possibly go wrong with that? So that's the deal. Now, if you weren't involved in the Indiegogo campaign, just ignore everything we've just said, but know that the retail mats are coming soon, and these are going to be really, really nice mats. I mean, we've said all along that mousepad material mats were the
are great.
I mean, they're really the premium, the premium material. The grass mat looks really nice. The training ground mat is different and complicated in a good way and dual purpose. You really can't go wrong with either of them.
I got to admit, the training ground one is still not my favorite. I like the grass mat, the playing field mat.
Yeah, I think that the training ground it's one of those things where people either really like it or really don't like it. I think that it definitely has its fans and it definitely has its detractors. I think that had they gone with something that was just more of like a simple town square kind of thing, it might have maybe split the audience down the middle a little more as to the original green and then the secondary. But I do like having that demo grid kind of inset into the full size game mat. I think it's, for occasions where you're maybe taking it down to the store and there might be that chance that you run a demo game for somebody new. It'd be a nice thing to just have. So
yeah, I could see that.
So I mean, and as it shakes out, I agonized a lot over what combination I was going. Yeah, I know. Can you imagine? I would have overthought something. I kind of went back and forth. Am I going to get 2 of the training grounds? Am I going to get 2 of the green field? Back and forth and back and forth. And I think ultimately I let Indiegogo make the choice for me, because the way that it broke down was my 1 mat pledge defaulted to green and my 2 mat pledge defaulted to green and training grounds. I was just like, do it. Just make these decisions for me. So that's what I've got on the way. Plus the large mystery box. And as Brad Pitt once said, what's in the box? So
I defaulted to the medium mystery box because I finally caved.
Well, you weren't overcompensating.
Well, it could be, but I also caved to pick up the Boiler and the Kraken, even though I don't have those 2 teams. So that tells you a little bit about where my head is going.
Yeah, I'm
and
really looking.
My wife doesn't listen to this podcast.
I'm really looking forward to getting the Kraken in. I do really like the pose on that. The limited edition model. And actually that's a news item in and of itself. Those of us who did limited edition Kraken pre-orders at the time of the UK Games Expo, they did ship this week. I got my shipping notice, and I saw a few other people mention it on Twitter as well. So those are in the mail finally. And we should be getting those in our grubby little hands probably next week if the weather is good and the slow boat is on time.
Yeah.
All right, so
the other thing we're seeing in news, and this would really be on if we were to make this news and rumors, this would be in the seemingly strongly substantiated rumor side. Which is not only did the news being the Guild Ball web store got an update, but it got a brand new section in there for resin miniatures.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of awfully nice captains in resin, kind of plastered across here. Now, granted, they're just grayed up 3D, images instead of the brownish 3D images, but
right,
not listed yet, but
and the section behind it is empty at this point. But it that should definitely put to rest all those questions of whether or not resin in some capacity was going to be available at retail. I think we now know that the definitive answer to that, even though the answer given has for many months been yes, I think that adding a section for it should tell us that they are
on their way,
on the horizon. So we don't know if it's going to be the full line. We don't know if it's going to be specific characters, whether it's going to be retail or Kickstarter poses. We don't know any details at this point, but we can tell you that they do appear to be inbound. So if you are a person who wants resin, definitely take a look at that.
So So I think that's it for news, isn't it? Do we have any other news?
Well, we've got some podcast business.
We do. We do.
So for those of you listening to the show who maybe don't like or don't have iTunes and don't like or don't have podcast tools on your devices and are looking for a better way to listen to this show, I have started to post this show on YouTube, and there's nothing too fancy about it. It's just a static image running behind the audio for an hour and 45 minutes. Turns, even
it is a damn nice image.
It's a very nice image. It's 2 gigs of video as audio. So don't stream that, kids. But so you'll be able to subscribe to the Guildball Tonight YouTube channel and get your updates with the new show that way. Expect to see it maybe a day after the show goes out on the audio only stream, but just another way to get you the content. So we want everybody to get the show the way that they want to get the show, and that being one of the ways that some people like to get shows.
So Phil,
yeah.
Now I have to ask, partly because it's amusing me to poke fun, partly because, as I admitted, this is completely you because I'm a social media imbecile. How many ways could a loyal listener now find Guildball Tonight?
4? So I think at this point you can get it on iTunes. You can get it in your podcasting, your podcatcher through the RSS feed. You could listen to it at guildballtonight.com, and now you can get it on YouTube. You can link to it through Facebook, and if I were to set it up, you could even get audio cards in Twitter. There's still a few more ways that I could come up with to get people this show. And, at a certain point, you've got to do the work. There's only so many ways I can do this.
So I did notice your I noticed, I don't know if it was a tweet or a comment or what it was the other day. It was you came out and said, okay, listeners, you need to pick a social media stream.
Oh, yeah.
Now on everything.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think I said that I've had to add 4 new social media apps to my rotation since starting this show, and it's true because I've had to learn how to use Facebook. I've had to do Facebook pages, which is like Facebook but not Facebook. I've had to do WhatsApp has been added for the pundits, and we should probably get a sneaky little mention in for the pundits at this point, and of course Facebook Messenger. So really, I mean, like 3 flavors of Facebook, but still they're apps on my phone.
Nice.
So speaking of pundits, things are happening with pundits. Those who volunteered for the program, some, if not all, of the volunteers have been contacted at this point and are sort of being put on notice that that the program is going to start shortly. So we don't have any details at the moment. There are a handful of people kind of behind the scenes talking to each other and wondering what is going on, as much as those who are outside the program wondering what's going on. But I do think that, speaking of rumors, as you brought up earlier, I think that we should expect to finally see what exactly the pundits can do for you and what to expect from that program pretty shortly. So
nice.
Maybe by our next show we'll have some details details on that as well. So, all right, so that just leaves us with match reports. So I've been too busy painting miniatures because at this point I won't play with card guys anymore. So what games have you played, Bill?
Well, I have actually played a game, and we all got quite a chuckle because I rolled out with my Masons again.
Yeah.
I am actually holding firm now that I have a painted team to playing fully painted. And that means that I have consistently been playing the same team, which is good. Actually, it's been a very good thing. Now, of course, my regular opponent, John, has painted both of his teams, plus his extra players, plus his union players. So I need to conscript John to paint some of Bill's models so I can play some other teams.
Yeah.
So, which, Phil, if you were living closer after seeing what you've painted so far, I'd be conscripting you for the same thing.
Man, I got 6 more teams to paint. Don't talk to me.
So let me see. Last night, we just played last night, which was kind of cool. It was one of the nice things because it's a fresh game, recording, right after my normal game night. John rolled out with a very interesting fisherman's team. So he had decided he wanted to. He saw something. Now, I am not sure. I know what he told me he saw after seeing how the game went, which I'll get into. I'm not sure I quite see what he saw. However, he rolled out with. I think he had shark. He had kraken. He had the otter, the rat, as I'm calling him, salt. Then he had gutter, siren, and fangtooth.
All right.
And his plan here was that siren, fangtooth, gutter, and kraken can all mess with people's movement.
True.
They can drag you around the board. They can make you run around and kick and do stuff. They can slow you down. They all mess with people's movement. And he threw that against the core basic Masons team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what ended up happening was I won. I got the roll for kickoff, chose to receive. Proceeded to, and he kicked just over the midline. I proceeded to jog up the board, grab the ball, pass it to Harmony. Harmony jogged up the board, passed it to Flint. Flint proceeded to run up the board.
Mm-hmm.
And turn two, as Honor and Fangtooth and Siren and Kraken got into a scrum. I think I might have had Brick in there somewhere as well, and the monkey bouncing around. And Shark decided to run over and try to take the ball from Flint. Not the most effective thing around. Flint and Shark actually got the ball. Flint proceeded to take it back and score a goal.
He does.
Right, like he does. And was parked, 8 inches away from the goal.
Yeah.
And with just Shark and the rat, Salt, over there by Flint, John kicked the ball back to that side of the board instead of into the scrum where Gutter had joined. Mm. And I had Harmony off on her own, sort of, I want to say, mid-left third of the board, if that makes sense. But probably 12 or 13 inches out from the goal. Flint in that same quarter of the board, 8 inches out from the goal. And then Shark and the rat sitting over there. And proceeded to spend the rest of the game taking the ball back away from Shark and making a goal with it. And take the ball away from Shark again and make my third goal and win the game.
That sounds easy enough.
So, yeah, it was a complete game of nothing but Flint, all Flint all the time.
It's an easy game to play.
Yeah, I let Brick get beat into the ground. I let Mallet get beat into the ground. And, yeah. Now, what was strange to me, movement never came into play. So, I think the one area where John tried to do some movement tricks is Kraken came out from the scrum and harpooned Flint.
Mm-hmm.
But even harpooning Flint just, did where'd he go?
He just
jumped out,
he goes right away.
Shot. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I just let him. He was doing a lot of hitting, but it wasn't really an effective shenanigan for the fisherman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
we had a similar game with the fishermen, and I think that I was playing the alchemist against them, where the fisherman lineup rolled out with Fangtooth trying to dominate some movement to try to open up the wings for the fish to run in, and that wasn't terribly effective at the time either. And the thing is, I still really think that there's something there with Fangtooth and the fisherman. I think it's just that what people keep trying to do is run him up the middle and clog things up, and I think that he needs to be used differently. And I haven't exactly figured out what it is that he needs to do. I think running him on a flank as a screen for shark might be the trick there. I think that what you want to do with that Fangtooth slowing people down trick is to play on shark's ability to ignore that effect. So you put Fangtooth, 4 or 5 inches inward from shark along that outside, and you just reduce people's charge range by 2 inches. And with that big 40 millimeter base, you take away a lot of their charge angles as well. And you use that as a way to protect shark as he, does that turn-to-turn transition so that he can make that run towards goal in the next turn. So I think there's definitely something there with Fangtooth. And I think that I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I think that might be what that combination it does, because it's something I've actually been thinking a lot about, because I do want to play fisherman at some point, and there's just something feels right about light-footed and foul odor working together.
Yeah. So I will say this: I've read Fangtooth, but I wasn't sure what I was going to be in for. Mm-hmm. I knew he was going to slow me down. I knew he could rip his mask off and scare everyone away, which he didn't do. Or he might have done that once. But I knew a couple of shenanigans.
Gets to do it once, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm trying to remember if he did it at all or not. But one of the things I ran into, which I find interesting, the fishermen seem to have, at least when I played John, they seem to have a preponderance of 2-inch reach.
Yes, they do.
Players to put on the field. And that's a challenge, especially with the Masons, because I only have I have Mallet with his 3-inch reach, and I have Brick with his 2. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I haven't looked at Tower. Tower may have a 2 as well, and maybe that's a good swap in, but, pretty much everybody else I'm playing with doesn't. What I was able to do to mitigate Fangtooth is leave Brick in on him. Because Brick can push him back an inch, which is inside of Brick's 2 inches, but outside of Fangtooth's 1 inch. Mm-hmm. And since Fangtooth only has that 1 inch, I can then just continue to beat on him. Yeah. Where when I go up against Kraken or Siren or any of the guys that have 2-inch reaches within the fishermen, I have to weigh pushing them out of that 2 inches with my last punch. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's not just a given to be able to keep beating on him and make him waste an advance to come back in.
Well, and the thing about Fangtooth is he's got so darn many hit points that I can't imagine trying to get him out of the game.
Yeah.
And the Fangtooth Unleashed is a heroic, so we actually can do it more than once. So, but the trick with him he's so darn slow that if you can knock him down, you can really affect his ability to project his aura onto a moving scrum. I think that's probably an easier use of or a more fruitful use of your time, because it could take you 4 or 5 turns to knock that guy out of the game.
Right. And I'm not sure if it is my play style or if it is John's or if it's both of ours, but I do notice that when we tend to come into a scrum, the scrum kind of stops there. Now, that may be a Mason's thing. It may be a Bill's play style thing, but pretty much it locks up one part of the field. And one of the suggestions I had for John is, since I had Harmony and Flint kind of blocking my left flank, his right flank, as I told John, I wouldn't have kicked the ball back over there. I would have kicked the ball towards the scrum and risked one of the Masons grabbing the ball, knowing that the models that are in that scrum could either knock my guys down or tackle them and get the ball back. And then he could just break out of the scrum and go pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the fishermen had lost that game when they got into a scrum at all. Because I've seen that. When the fishermen have punished me, and they have just torn me up. They've been playing fast and loose and all over the board and moving the ball around. And when I've gotten my revenge on the fishermen, I've managed to sort of shove them into a little ball. And, they can't win that fight. They can't win that punch-up.
Right.
And whether you beat them on takedowns or you beat them on, sneaky goals around the corners, if you can get 3-4 fishermen tied up in the middle of the field, your chances are went way up, because they're not playing their game. And that's, time and again, we tell people, you got to play your team's game, because your team was built to do something. You get your momentum by doing something. All your skills are built around something. Your stat lines are built around something. And if you're not doing that thing, unless you're the Masons, where your thing is everything,
right?
If you're not doing that thing, then you're at a disadvantage. You're not generating as much momentum. Not having as much momentum means that you're not able to take advantage of as many heals, as many extra moves, as many counterattacks.
And that was
you got to play your game.
That was one of my points to John as well, as we were talking about sort of the after the game, chat. And he was mentioning he had just gotten his meat hook painted, so we were looking at meat hook and what she did. Now, he scored 4 points in our game, right? He got 2 takedowns, and he got 2 takedowns on my toughest guys, Mallet and Brick. That being said, like I said to him, had he played the same game and somehow, I don't even remember if Fangtooth can go into the butchers, but had he put,
No, I can't.
Had he had those characters though into the butchers, butchers on that field in that game, it would have been over.
It would have been. If you get pulled into a scrum against the butchers, it's the exact opposite. Right. Then you're done, because that's their game.
And I couldn't, even though I was shooting with Flint, he would have out damaged me so quickly. I would have had no recourse.
Right, and he would have been able to come back and get your guys on the outside. Yeah, it is it's just a good example of how different these teams are at the end of the day. That they do completely different things, and you need to play to that strength. And if you wanted to beat people up in the middle of the field, take the Brewers or the Butchers. Or even to a certain extent, the Masons. I mean, the Masons can be pretty darn stout if they can ball everybody up in the middle of the field and just let Mallet and Brick dominate every position and play that happens in the middle of the field.
So let me give you a second AAR. And this goes back 2-3 weeks now. However, I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned it yet. So I haven't talked about the one where I actually took your advice, Phil, and played a reserved kind of risk-adverse game, have I?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so this is going to be a lesson for everybody.
Don't listen to Phil, I hope, is not the lesson.
No, it's not. Don't listen to Phil, because I'm sure this works for you. Learn what your personal strengths are in playing a game.
Yeah.
And play to your strengths.
All right, that's fair.
Okay, because I tend to play a risk. I'll play a risk-based game where I am expecting big risk, big reward, and I like big plays, right? And I also prefer a little bit of combat. I am not a risk-adverse player. So you and I talked when we talked about my big list of Mason AARs about how you sort of spread around. I think we talked about this on the air. How you're risk-adverse and you spread around your influence, and pretty much everybody gets 2 to 3 influence, and you make safe plays, always looking for ways to shoot, and always trying to, not looking to make a big burst play, but sort of playing out the long game.
Right.
So, following that discussion, John and I went out to play.
Yeah. Did he play Butchers?
I don't even remember who he played.
Because if you play Butchers, you're going to lose. You can't play that game against the Butchers.
So, no, I'm going to say that. I don't remember. I really don't. I don't remember if it was Butchers or Fisherman. Now, as I mentioned, John and I are fairly evenly matched in our play styles. So we started our game. We started our game at 5:30 in the evening and started playing. I was spreading my influence around. I don't think there was ever a point in the game where anybody... I know nobody spiked up to 5, and I'm pretty sure it was rare that Honor spiked up to 4 or Flint spiked up to 4. They were always when... The only time they would do it is when I could either take someone out or make a shot on the goal. I lost the game. The game was 12-10, and it was 4.5 hours long. Okay. I just want to point this out. 4.5 hours long.
Yeah, I have never played a 4.5 hour game.
And it wasn't like, John and I are chatty and we play very casually and play longer games. And when we got to the end of the game, we both looked at each other and realized we were both tired. We didn't feel like we had played not the intensity of a tournament, but that same sort of brain burn of a tournament. I think the majority of both the 10 and the 12 points were made 2 points at a time with takedowns. Nobody got just taken out in one round. It was all this huge battle of attrition and blocking and moving and tackling. And there was so much going on in the game. But yeah, 4.5 hours. So this time, one turn, I spread out a bunch of influence, and John went, "You're not doing the Phil strategy again, are you?" I said, No. I actually know what I'm doing this time. I got this well planned.
Well, I never said to try to take as long as possible. I just said don't put all your eggs in one basket. I get a game in under an hour.
So I'm just saying, like I said, it wasn't you, but I was not playing to my strengths and play style. And while we played, and it was a very tactical game, it was a very long fought game.
Clearly.
So I definitely look forward to the day that you and I either get on to Vassal or meet in person and get to play out to see how this plays out between you and I.
Hopefully not 4.5 hours, because I don't think I've got time for that. I could play 3 games in that time.
If it is 4.5 hours, it'll be me avoiding my wife while she's at Disney and bringing in lots of beer.
So that can slow the game down. I'm just saying. All right, so let's move on. All right, so the next thing we wanted to discuss is I kind of wanted to break down some things about third-party offerings for Guild Ball gear, because at this point there's a fair number of things out there, and that itself is something of a topic. But one of the things that you can look at with the existence of third-party items for Guild Ball is that it's actually one of the best signs, I think, for the overall health of the game and for the reputation or the penetration into the market of the game, that other vendors of any size would see an opportunity to make products for people playing this game. You know, if it was a little niche game that nobody was hearing about and nobody was talking about and nobody was playing at their local stores or clubs, then we wouldn't be seeing 4, 5, 6 different vendors starting to put out products to support the game. And I don't think that the presence of these alternate sources for some items for the game are necessarily a threat or a challenge to the core business of Steamforged either, because there's definitely a difference in the products being put on offer by the official channel and by the third party channel, in as much as what I really see with the Steamforged offerings for tokens and gauges and playmats is that they are really shooting for premium quality, right? They're doing the neoprene mat, they're doing those back printed acrylic tokens and templates. You know, they're going for sort of the top quality premium at a premium price, but with full value components. So that's sort of one end of the market. And what the third party people have been able to do is sort of hit another part of the market, and that is people who want a lower cost alternative to still have purpose specific game components. And so what you see is that the tokens that are being done by the third party vendors are like the laser etched. They're very nice, not quite as sort of high end as the official, but at a much lower price point. So if you just want to have a nice set of tokens that are to purpose, that are specific to what you're doing, but you can't wait for the official release, or you want to come in at a lower expense, then you just have an option. So
that's what I would have seen, is that, you know, we're going to talk about bendy boards in a bit. I mean, I really saw them jump out early on when only the Kickstarter, people in the Kickstarter were waiting for their tokens. Right. Only the Kickstarter people were getting tokens. Everybody else was waiting, who wasn't in the Kickstarter was waiting for getting their teams in and providing something for the people who either drove out and didn't get the tokens as part of the Kickstarter, or, sort of that early release. Here, go play with some paper dolls, and here is some nice etched, wood-burned stuff.
Right, and when they got into it, the plans from Steamforged had not manifested themselves visibly yet. So they may have lucked into the fact that they're not sort of directly competing for the same product, but they were definitely, because of the type of components that they do, which is just the laser etched MDF and the laser cut acrylic, they were able to get something out very quickly.
And then when you talk about some of the other stuff, so was it Mats by Mars who just started talking about stuff? I think a lot of that came from, he's a U.S. provider, and has actually a fair number of people who play Guild Ball. Spencer Stevens is one of the guys I know who actually, so Mars, he actually knows guys that are playing Guild Ball who went to him and said, hey, you did mats for Malifaux, you did mats for some other games, could you do stuff? How quickly could you do stuff for Guild Ball? So I think that was a really nice response, to these are different mats, but again, it's really a beat the market type of thing, as opposed, I think, to a lower price point.
Well, but they will be. I mean, those Mars mats are, I think, $36, and the neoprene should retail over here for around $50. So, there's definitely a difference there. And if you are price conscious, or if you are very specifically wanting to get a different look and feel, I mean, one thing that Mats by Mars or Mars.
It's Mats by Mars.
Mats by Mars. Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that they offer is a pretty substantial variety already, because again, he's taking those patterns that he's been doing for other mats for ages, and he's applying the Guild Ball lines to them, so he's able to reuse his desert and swamp and
the snow,
everything else, and the snow.
The snow is great. Let's play a Guild Ball game in the snow.
Exactly.
Everything is fast terrain.
So that's going to be a differentiator for him for some time, and for people who want to do something interesting with their basing, that may be an attractive option indefinitely for that regard. So, all right. So some of the vendors, if you're not aware, and if you are interested in either getting something at that lower price point, or maybe locally or immediately, some of the vendors to really look for, as we said, Bendy Boards was one of the first. I actually have the Bendy Board kick and scatter templates. I got those. I got the acrylic, and super simple, super nice, very affordable.
How do you like them compared to the acrylic ones you got from the Kickstarter?
Well, I didn't get the acrylic ones from the Kickstarter. That's why I needed these.
Oh.
I decided to spend all my extra money on miniatures, and I didn't get the dice or the templates. I wish I had gotten the dice. I'm okay with not getting the templates, because I think I spent about $15 on these, and they're fine. They're great. They do the job, and they look nice.
Have you picked up the acrylic, the one that Guild Ball has out?
Not yet. I've pre-ordered the cards, which will come with a handful of counters. And my plan, as I think I said when we were talking about the tokens previously, my plan is to get like maybe one set a month or something like that. So I'm going to rotate them in.
Yep.
Because I want them, because they're really nice, but I can't go and just buy all of them right now. I mean, I'm not made out of money.
Here's something I'm not sure so that I'm not sure the listeners know. And you won't be able to answer the other question I was going to ask. The acrylic templates that they show on the Guild Ball site are not what the Kickstarter people got.
Right. Oh, no, I do know that I think that they were like a smoke brown.
Smoke brown. It doesn't have the kick scatter, does not have the spaces. It's actually a solid piece without the arrows.
Right.
And the 3-inch regular scatter, right? The knockdown scatter is actually it's almost, now I'm going to have to measure to make sure it's 3 inches, but it's almost like a 3-inch cloud template. Not the inside ring, but it's like a solid template that you would use, again, with everything etched onto it.
Mm. Yeah, and so, I know that they hadn't finalized the templates that they ultimately wanted to do until well after the Kickstarter was into fulfillment. So if you do have those templates, you may be looking to upgrade at some point as well. But
yeah, possibly, or looking for some alternatives. I'll tell you, I kind of like the smoke brown templates that we got.
Right.
And one of the things, and I haven't looked to see if you can get them in the team templates, but oh yeah, I guess you can. So what I do like is, while I don't have all of the team effects, I do like the influence. And what I have a set of now smoke brown sort of neutral influence markers, the little influence beads. So, and those are really nice. It's an easy way to count things out.
Yeah. Well, I'm still just using my little counting cubes for that because I still like being able to pick them up so easily.
Yep.
But that's one thing that I kind of like about the official tokens is they're actually kind of tall. So I think that they're going to be a little easier to pick up than some of the thin chips that...
Now, the other thing I found interesting, which I haven't seen anybody do, and maybe I'm missing it somewhere. So if somebody out there can tell me, this is where you go get it, or maybe it's just for a different, for other games. The other thing that came with the Kickstarter was, for example, if you go into, any of the guilds, so you go into the Fisherman's Guild, and you look at their set, they have these sort of stylized arcs that go around the base with effects on it. Instead of those, what they shipped out to the Kickstarters, I have 4 plain white arcs that would fit around a 30 millimeter base, and then one larger arc that fits about halfway around a 40 millimeter base. And those are actually laminated on top, so I can, with a dry erase or wet erase marker, write onto them what the effects are.
Yeah.
So instead of carrying a stack, I'm carrying around basically 5 markers that I can then write the effects.
Yeah, I've not seen anybody do blank ones, but I suspect that you could contact either Bendy Boards or Counterattack, who both do acrylic arcs, and just say, "Hey, can I get a blank set?"
Right, and not so much a see-through set, but a blank right. That's sort of covered white or covered with a color that you can read against. Yeah,
and that's that's one thing about with the acrylic is you're probably already using a like an overhead safe marker or a dry erase marker with your sleeved cards anyway.
Exactly.
So if you can then just use that same pen to write on the tops of counters, you can get away with fewer counters to do more things. I mean, if you could, possibly just get one set of, a dozen blank chips and be done for good if you're willing to just keep writing and getting your fingers dirty.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to save a buck while accomplishing the goal of having sort of game appropriate and game specific gear. So we mentioned Bendy Boards. They're making tokens, and you can either get MDF etched or acrylic from them, and the acrylic comes in like 18 colors or something crazy like that. They're pretty affordable. They do the arcs with effects. They do tokens. They have a really nice wooden momentum and score tracker that you kind of set off to the side. It's kind of like a life, like a spin down counter, like a lot of people use with games like Magic and stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a pretty cool little gizmo. It's only available in wood, but it's pretty cute. It's kind of cool. All right, the another vendor doing a similar line of counters and arcs is Counterattack bases over in the UK as well. And they also do a really nice set of colored AOE rings.
And I think I love the fact that they have those AOE rings, right? Those hollow area of effects.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like, I'm still just using those plain brass rings, and then I throw a cube of the right color in it to know,
right.
This is the green one is poison kind of a thing. So at some point, I do want to pick up some better AOE rings. So they're kind of on my watch list for when I'm ready to take that plunge.
I hadn't looked at the Counterattack stuff, but I almost, looking at their kick template, I'm almost wondering if they're the ones that made the Kickstarter kick templates.
Yeah, it's possible. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these outfits did it because they were all available so quickly that something seemed to have been happening beforehand. Another cool. I mean, we have already talked about the mats by Mars. The U.S. based mats. Really, the last one to bring up is just a cool little gizmo that's being made by Flipside Gaming Cafe. They are doing a scoreboard and momentum tracker that is designed to look like an actual field or pitch side scoreboard like you would have, and it's nice. It's got little dials and cutouts in the front to see the numbers for the momentum and the score. And then it's got little hooks on the bottom, plus a little sign for each of the 8 guilds. So you can kind of hang the name of the home and away team on there. And it's just a really nice kit, and people have done some clever and interesting additional modeling on these already, and so it's just a nice little gizmo. I mean, I know that the Blood Bowl world had for ages had a sort of a little cottage industry of scoreboard builders and a nice tradition of people who were building these for themselves. And it's just always a nice little touch, right? It's just that little something extra off to the side that sort of makes the game. It sort of steps up the presentation of the game, and it's always more fun to play the game when you're looking down at just a really cool sight in front of you. So if you're able to add a little bit of extra scenery to it, whether you build it yourself or you buy it from somebody like Flipside, it's just a nice little extra. And so definitely if you're looking to improve the look and feel of your game space, take a look at that as well.
So I will say this, for people who've gotten to this point and are going, now where do I find this stuff? Let's start with the hard one first. Okay? So in all your searching for Flipside Gaming Cafe to see this scoreboard, I think the easiest way to find it is they are Flipside Sunderland, Sunderland, on Facebook, no spaces.
Right.
You can also find them at Flipside, what is this? Flipside NE. So FLIPSIDENE on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And then you got to do a little bit of searching in their pictures. As best as I can tell, they are also flipsidegaming.com. However, I am not able to find the actual board on that website. So that may not be the exact website. Mm-hmm. But Facebook and Twitter are these guys. You can find, if you do a little digging in their pictures, you can actually find their scoreboard. Mm-hmm. So, going backwards, Matt's by Mars. Mm-hmm. His is actually pretty easy. It's www.mats, M-A-T-S, by Mars.com. And that's all, no spaces, all one word. And then while Mars, one of the guys behind this company, isn't playing Guild Ball yet, if you're interested to hear some of his gaming stuff, he has Voices of Mars on YouTube, and he has he's part of the gaming consortium. It's a big YouTube gaming group. So Counterattack Bases is counterattackbases.co.uk. And that one rolled right off the tongue. And then, of course, Mr. Mike Marshall will love to hear www.bendyboards.co.uk for the bendy board stuff.
And I will put links for all of these in the show notes, as well as us having told you here for people who didn't have a pencil handy at the time. So yeah, and in a strange sort of way, these people are all sort of supporting the game. It's so don't feel bad about buying their tokens. In fact, support people who support us in the broad sense. I think it's a good thing for the game that other people want to get in on the action.
And I will say this, anybody who wants to have us look at some stuff, now you got to be careful. Phil and I are going to be honest. But feel free to contact Phil or me and let us know, and we will gladly take stuff and then be honest about what we think.
Excellent.
Yeah, that'll happen once, and then,
It's like, well, I didn't. I cut my finger on it, Bill. I've got to be honest. So,
I am looking forward to my mats coming in, and I know buddy of mine, Spencer, actually ordered some of the mats by Mars. His plan was to do kind of a mix of the mats by Mars and the Guild Ball, the neoprene mats. So,
yeah, I think that as far as my mats go, I gave away my original mat that I made from the flocked felt. I donated that to the local store here. And I've just got the playmats.eu mat that I bought 5 hours before the official mat was announced. But I will say that mat, which I subsequently did paint markered lines on, it's really, really an effective mat. That one will, I think, always get some use because it's got that cobblestone on one side. The grass side, because I got the two-sided mat, the grass side might not get as much play, but the cobblestone side is always going to have a place. So, if you have a specific need for something that isn't in the main lineup, that's a great way to fill it is to just look to somebody who can take care of that. So.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on to the third and final section of the show, we're going to, as always is the case, answer Twitter questions. And
Twitter questions!
Yay, Twitter questions. I only gave people 3 hours to ask us questions today because I figured that would keep us from getting an insurmountable number of questions. And so the first question that I wrote down was from David Bartley, who asked, has Catalyst ever survived a game? Yes, he survives games all the time. You're playing him wrong. No, to be a little less flip there. So the thing about Catalyst is, he's a big 40 millimeter player, and he doesn't have great defensive stats. The thing about Catalyst is he's a player who is really good at exploiting advantages that you create. He's not a player who's great at sort of standing in the middle and pounding on people. So if you're using him just in the middle of the field, as a defender forward like that, he's probably going to get pounded into the dirt. What I find a trick with Catalyst is that he really needs to kind of hang back from the action, and he's a great player to use to go after some of those slipperier players who have kind of slipped out of the main focus of the action. And in a situation like that, he's got enough health to have an advantage over anybody. And he's got hopefully you've applied some conditions and he's got those advantages that he gets. So what he really excels at is picking off people in solitary one-on-one engagements. He's not great at plugging up a chunk of the field. So try to just use him a little bit differently. If you're playing the Alchemist, you probably want to just stay out of the middle of the field in general anyway. And, use speed to your advantage. Use Catalyst as almost a sweeper as opposed to a midfielder. And, maybe he'll still be standing at the end of the game. But, try something a little different with him. Don't just keep banging your head against the wall. If a player isn't doing well, it's probably a good sign that player was designed to do something different. Again, it's a lot like what we said earlier in the show about if you're not playing your game, you're going to lose. Well, right. If a player isn't doing his thing, he's probably going to be ineffective.
I mean, in my understanding about Catalyst is he's really out there to not so much take to take a beating, but his character plays, his special plays, specifically Intensify, is on 2 successes. Mm-hmm. So to be able to, he has a 6 tack. He's going to be going after models that have conditions on him. You would hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. It seems to me like he should be fairly survivable. And then when you build up the momentum, either he uses, one momentum to get 4 points back, or you throw 2 momentum at him from another player to heal up.
Well, and that's why I think that he's getting double and triple teamed in the center of the field, and he's not able to, by being engaged, he's not getting a charge.
Right.
By just having that many people beating on him, he's not going to, even with the 27 hit points,
right.
He's just not going to stand up to that. So, clearly, what you see with him is, his best plays are when he's in motion. A double intensify on a charge is devastating. So, just try, like I said, try something different with him. If you're not having luck with him, if he's getting ganged up on, you need to move him out of the scrum and just try something off on the edges.
I would really be interested to hear from Dave. Dave may have been sort of joking around about Catalyst not living, but I'm curious to hear from Dave sort of what is happening that's kind of killing Catalyst so quick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because it's just not something I've seen. I mean, it's I don't think I've had Catalyst go out of a game, so
right.
It may just be a difference in play style, because it seems like it'd be a whole lot easier to take out, Calculus and Mercury than it is to take out Catalyst.
Now, to be fair, if you're playing against the Butchers, the only reason you're seeing Catalyst not survive a game is simply because
he's a player.
Well, he's a player, right? Right. And if it's Casket that's running you down, it's simply because it's Casket. Yeah. So don't feel bad. None of my guys survived the Butchers or Casket either. So.
Yeah, I think this might be a good one for the community to chime in on. What are you doing different? What are you seeing? So definitely.
Yeah, or how are people playing Catalyst? I have not seen him nearly enough to really know. But geez, I mean, I'm just going around. We were talking about Fangtooth. 1 armor and 29 hit points. Catalyst doesn't have the armor, but 27 is still. You're going to beat on him for a while.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so the next question up is from Nate Zettel, who asks, what is your favorite character play? So, Bill?
Right now?
Right now? Yeah, well, I would assume.
I mean, right now, my favorite character play, and I know it shouldn't be, but my favorite character play is... what is it called? Superior Strategy.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
That's character play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it cost me four influence to do it. I can't do it off of a trigger, but if I was going to do it off of a triggered play, sort of one of those special Guild Ball plays, it would be Where'd He Go?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're both character plays. They just have the different triggers, but
yeah.
Yeah, I have to say Where'd He Go is my favorite for 2 reasons. Number 1, Flint's got it. And number 2, it's the start of every goal Flint scores, right? I mean, it's either the beginning of his move or the end of his move. And he's either getting out of somebody's engagement zone or he's taking the ball from somebody and then bouncing out of engagement and then going on to score a goal. It's just it is such a given that he's just going to use it every turn, no matter what, and to such advantage. I mean, it is a great striker's trick. I mean, it's not unique to him. It is also who's the other player that has it? Was it Mist who also has it?
Yeah, I think Mist has it.
It's somebody else. One of the other strikers has it as well and uses it to just as much advantage. Yeah. So, it's a favorite because my favorite player has it. So, I mean, it's kind of hard for that not to be aligned, right?
Now, and that's why I say right now. So let's go back and remember, Bill has been playing fully painted, which means Masons and Masons only.
Yeah.
I will say
good
this.
choice.
Well, yeah, but from a just a cool play that I have never gotten as much use as I want to out of, and still would make the play even if there were no players on the field. Lob barrel.
That was a lot of fun. That might be the most fun character play. Like so like if the question was what was the most fun character play, lob barrel hands down.
Exactly. Because
you're throwing an exploding barrel of beer. And people fly all over the field after you're done. You cannot not love that play.
Right.
But
okay, so now I remember what I was thinking. Grayscales also has where they
go. That's the one. Yeah. Okay. I knew one of those slippery guys.
Grayscales and the Rat has it.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Huh. I guess it's all over the place.
And I'm just
Flint uses it best, though. I mean,
so I got to admit,
he's just a little bit better at it.
I have yet to lose a game to Grayscales making goals. Meanwhile, Flint has made goals to lose people games.
I've lost games to Grayscales making passes,
but not the goal.
But not the goal itself. No, Grayscales is a really good ball hawk, but he's not a selfish player and likes to pass it to Angel for those snapshots. But
I keep trying to work up to snapshots and haven't quite gotten.
Oh, they're so much fun. You just got to do them.
I know.
You just got to do them. You're going to fail half of them, and it doesn't matter because they're so much fun to do. It just doesn't matter.
Well, see, my plan there is once I get the Brewers on the field, since the Brewers are already so bad at actually making goals, that's where I'm going to do my snapshots. Because, hey, what's our next question?
Our next question is from Liam Hall, who wants to know what do you want to see in season 2? Well,
so
I would like
let me
to see
take
season
this.
2. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Hunters, partially because one of my local friends, who's not a player yet, is very interested to see which way they go with the Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely upfront, and I don't know, maybe this is the wrong thing to say from an excitement level, but I'm not ready for season 2. I'm having so much fun playing, even with just my single team, and looking forward to my other, several teams to play. I'm not even starting to think about season 2. I'm still looking forward to when do I start putting in my alternate players, which I never even played with the paper dolls.
Yeah, I agree. If it took them an extra 6 months or an extra 9 months to do season 2,
I wouldn't cry.
I wouldn't miss any sleep because I'm not going to have my stuff painted. I'm not going to have played every team 20 times. I'm not going to have gotten all the union combinations in. I'm not going to, there's so much of this game already that, the sort of the fervor to get to season 2. It's like, slow down, guys. Let's just play. We got a little bit, and. I think I saw somewhere that the player trickle was going to start before the end of summer. With new players coming out, and it's like, really already? But I haven't used all the other ones yet, and I've played a lot of games. So.
And you know what? The bigger thing I'm looking forward to is, this Guild Ball tonight. I can do it here.
Yeah.
U.S. distribution.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Exactly. Yeah. We got stuff to do. Don't be in such a hurry. If I had to say something about season 2 that I'm looking forward to, it's new mascots, because I love the mascots and I want 8 more of them. But not because I need them, just because they're fun. Let's slow down, everybody. Just slow down. Let season 1 take a while. We don't have to rush into everything. We talked about the advantages that Guild Ball has given itself by being in a hurry recently, but I don't think that state persists indefinitely. I think there comes a point where you get as much value from slowing down as maybe you did from being in a hurry too. So, give us the time to find all the cool tricks. Give us time to play all the teams and to do all the things. I mean, we've got 60 players. That's not enough,
I agree.
Yeah, so
I agree.
No, absolutely. We are in lockstep on that one. So, yeah, what I'm looking for from season 2 is it being just far enough away from season 1 that I don't feel like it was rushed. That's what I'm looking forward to from season 2. And our last question, because we're going to get to every question I wrote down. That doesn't mean that we didn't get asked some latecomers that I didn't write down, and I apologize to you. But for once, we're getting to the bottom of this card. And that is our buddy Lee Perry asked, is the errata correct? We shouldn't justify that question with a response. So the answer is no. So, all right. So, and on that note, I think we are going to call it a show. So, Bill, thanks for coming in and talking with us tonight.
And listeners, thank you for continuing to listen.
Absolutely. And we will see you on 9 different social media platforms and 4 different distribution methods.
And just to be clear, it's all Phil, because Bill doesn't know anything about social media.
I'm a tired old man. So, all right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
There we go. All right. So joining us for the show tonight is going to be Jamie from Guild Ball Informer. Now, I did say that wrong on the last show, did I not, Jamie?
You did. It was Guild Ball Insider on the last show, but you got it perfect this time.
Excellent. So that is my mea culpa, and just to make sure that everybody knows that it is in fact Guild Ball Informer. So tell us what that is now that we've actually gotten the name right.
Yeah, Guild Ball Informer. Obviously, as anyone listening and yourself, I'm a big fan of the game. And I really decided I wanted to put more into the game than obviously just playing it and demoing it for people. And a close friend of mine, Jamie, who does Guild Ball TV, which I'm sure some of you may see in the videos for. I've been on his YouTube channel quite a few times, and it inspired me to have a go myself, because I think, especially with hobbying, I really enjoy having hobby content to watch. When I paint, I love having things to watch, and any sort of resource for this game can only make the game grow, and that to me can only be a good thing. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the main driving points behind me putting the channel together. Sure.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of room right now for evangelizing for the game. It's the content that we're creating is going to be useful for other specific functions, but just getting the word out right now is certainly.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't leave you fighting the fight on your own as well. Figured I'd wade in and give you a hand.
There we go. Well, we got to get some youthful energy on the campaign, because us old guys can't do this forever.
I have to admit though, it is a very enjoyable thing to do. It's got a steep learning curve behind it, and I'm definitely learning a lot. I'm making a lot of mistakes, but it is very enjoyable. Mm-hmm. It's definitely now to me a very important part of my hobby time on the whole, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where we can take it and what we can make it into.
Yeah, I mean, well, the nice thing about doing this is that you get to kind of have that front row seat to the community, whether you want it or not. So I mean, once you put yourself behind a microphone and start talking about a game, people are going to, they're just going to come out of the woodwork to talk back to you, and on a certain level, that's sort of part of the point. That's a part of the reason that I'm doing this, is because I want to be engaged with the community and in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've found even though the channel is still in its very early days and a lot of the big content, I'm still doing the work behind the scenes to start releasing. The feedback I've had has been brilliant, and just the interaction with people on Twitter and Facebook and the forums. And I'm really taking a lot from it, and not just in the way of advice for the channel, things people want to see. I'm really enjoying just speaking to people and meeting the community and effectively making it like a concrete community of people I know, if you will. And I really think that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely, and it's really only going to benefit the future of the game to have a strong community, and it's really why community building is part of the focus of what we do on the podcast and with the social media that we do is really just one thing that happens again and again when I hear people talk about the game from outside of our little echo chamber is that there's always comments about how active Guild Ball is on social media. I see people time and again show up and say, "Oh, well, I saw these tweets about it," and I heard in another interview today, "Oh, you guys are all over social media," and to a certain extent, that is part of the success of the game is what the community is doing to get the word out. So.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, before Guild Ball, and still to this day, I'm a big Hobbit and Lord of the Rings player. And that, as much as it's quite for want of a better term, a dying game, but we won't go into that, it has a really strong community over here. And then the Guild Ball community has just blown me away. Like, just the rate I'm seeing it grow. And the sheer amount of stuff that's going on social media and the forums and stuff. It's one of the reasons that encouraged me to do what I'm doing, because I thought that is brilliant and I want to be as big a part of this as possible. But I'm borderline obsessed with the forums and the social media behind Guild Ball. I really am.
Sure. Well, I'm pretty quiet, so you wouldn't know. But
yeah.
That's a lie. So, so what do you have? I know what the content that you've done so far. You've done some match reports, and I really like the engine that you guys have used with match reports.
Yeah, the intro match report that I did with Jamie from Guild Ball TV. I must admit, most of the credit for that one does go to him, if not all. I was effectively just there. But that is one of the main things I'm investing my time in at the moment, trying to find a good way to shoot battle reports to make it entertaining to watch. Because the static camera works, and the idea I'm playing with and what's taking a lot of editing time and experimenting is, I think the best way I'll be able to portray a Guild Ball match is with the static camera, but ideally a second camera that is taking shots of the miniatures and what is going on, as well as a dice tray. And I think that those together would give a good balance of a game that you would be enjoyable to watch, rather than just a static camera or a constantly moving camera trying to keep up with what's going on. But the intro video was really good. We were both very surprised at the success it had, to be honest. The week after it released, that weekend, we were at a tournament together, and we sort of had a bit of a celebratory beer to say, yeah, that worked.
Well, that's great. So what other, in addition to doing what really sounds like a pretty advanced level of match reporting, what other content are you looking to produce for the video?
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of stuff at the moment. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen it. We've started a friend James, a good friend of mine who does a lot of my commission work. He's doing a weekly series on painting and modelling with Guild Ball models at the focus, which I think will be quite good. And we've started right back at the basics of preparing and pinning models, and he will work right through up to painting techniques and stuff. And from being a fan of wargaming on YouTube myself, that's something I always took quite a lot from. So I'm hoping that goes down quite well, given that it is very specific to Guild Ball. So that's one thing I'm very excited about. As mentioned, we've got the battle reports that I'm still looking at. I'm hoping to start really putting a dent in those soon. Just recorded today, actually. We're doing small reviews of the Season 1 teams. Jamie did for Guild Ball TV. I don't know if you've seen it. He did a bit of a Meet the Fisherman video, which is worth watching.
Oh, yeah, it was excellent, yeah.
Yeah, I've just recorded Meet the Brewers.
All right.
They're all going to follow a similar format, which will probably be released tomorrow. we're going to try and do, I think between us, the only team we don't have is the Alchemist, but knowing my hobby addiction, that won't be for long.
Exactly.
So we're going to try and work through the teams. And again, I'm very much talking to people as much as I can, taking a lot of feedback. Any suggestions anyone has are massively appreciated. And this sounds like a bit of a cliche. I don't want this to be my channel. I want it to be a channel for all things Guild Ball. If people want me to make something, I will absolutely have a go at doing it. I really want it to be a resource for everything, even remotely related to Guild Ball, and that people want to see and will take something from.
Well, that is that youthful energy. I'm old enough to know I have much more limits, but
no, I'm very much enjoying it, and I've got the bit between my teeth at the moment. I'm quite eager to do as much as I can. Well,
onward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's see what we can do with it. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff, ideas I'm toying with, like a weekly show I'm considering where I will literally, it will be me in front of a camera, which isn't the greatest thing people want to see, and it will literally just be me once a week filling people in on, like the segment you do in your show, on everything I've done in the past 7 days.
Right.
Guild Ball related, be it games I've played or maybe bits of painting I've done, things like that. They're all ideas I'm toying with, and I'm looking forward to putting a lot of it out there and seeing which bits people take to and which they don't.
Right. Yeah, I'm at that same kind of point there right now, figuring out, well, what is it that people really want to see, and of course, anybody listening to this can, of course, tell either or both of us what it is they want to see.
Yeah.
And we can put that into the hopper, because all this is new. That's one of the nice things about it is, we've got a brand new game here.
Yeah, as much as it could be seen a little bit as unknown territory, it's one of the things that's exciting me. It's a game that is growing, is new, and is it's on the rise, and it's great seeing sort of like droves of new people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there is a certain added thrill, I think, for all of us who are involved at this point to just sort of being here at the beginning and seeing it grow from a just the little Kickstarter campaign that it was into a sensation that it seems to be becoming.
Yeah, it's I knew it'd do well from the first time I played it and read the rules and stuff. Mm-hmm. I knew it would do very well, but it's even a couple of times amazed me how quickly it's took off and how mainstream it's become. And the thing that really hits home with me, as I give demos to people, I've done a lot of demos and showed people the game and met people in my local area who are playing. A lot of people's approach as they come into the game is, this is going to be a really good second system, and it's put a very big smile on my face, like watching it become their main system. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the games that they were playing are sort of sidestepping, and it's showing how dominant and how big this game is going to be. It's literally people who are getting involved in it. It is just taking over, which I love.
Oh, I know that much to the chagrin of some of the people around me, I have played very little since getting deeply involved in this game. Generally speaking, I either don't show up or show up with Guild Ball in my hand, and then everybody's like, "Oh, well, I guess we're not doing that tonight." But no, I still tell anybody who will listen that it's one of the best games I've ever played, if not the best game I've ever played. So,
I'm the same. I mean, I've been asked more than once if I'm on commission, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think I try and sell it that much.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's hard not to be. It's hard when you're enthusiastic not to be just sort of without reservation. You just come out and you're just all over the game, and it's just like people are like, "All right, calm down a little there."
I do. I get so over enthusiastic about it at times. It's crazy. It really is. But that's one of the things I love about the game. I just get like absolutely lost in it. Mm-hmm. And that for me is why I'm in this hobby. I can get lost in this other world, if you will. and Guild Ball does that very well.
Yeah. Well, I think that you wouldn't really have needed to guess whether or not you and I are exceedingly enthusiastic about it, given the extent that we've gone to.
Yeah, absolutely.
To create the outlets that we have.
Oh, I'm only doing this so Rich makes a player about me. That's all.
Oh,
that's totally what I mean. No.
Well, we do need. Everybody wants the Messengers Guild to be a thing, and I'm still thinking that if we could get a couple more YouTubers and a couple more podcasters, we'd have 6 faces that they could use.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or the other option is they're going to need a couple of commentator miniatures.
Yeah. There's always that. So. So they could have some volunteers for the likenesses of miniatures anytime they want, right?
Yeah, I'm game.
I don't know how many people are going to want to buy the miniatures of some of us.
I will probably buy them all if they haven't made a miniature of us.
Oh, that's a very strange avenue to go down. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, I am going to give you a chance to tell everybody where to find you and your work, and then let you get back to your night.
Thank you, buddy. Well, you can find, obviously, Guild Ball Informer on YouTube. It would really help if you can subscribe. Please leave comments on all the videos. Let us know what you want to see and what you think. There's also a Guild Ball Informer page on Facebook and Twitter. And lastly, if you don't mind, Phil, I'm just going to mention we are running a small tournament on the 4th and the 5th of July, which is going to be good fun, I think. I'm excited to TO for that, and it'll be interesting to see the tournament scene because I've not managed to get to any of the tournaments yet.
Right.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's. I have to say that I just saw somebody compiled a list of the upcoming tournaments on the forums today, and there's like 8 or something coming up. I mean, it's the UK has always had a much better tournament scene in terms of quantity than we have over here, mostly due to the advantages you all have in terms of just concentration of people in a geographic area. Yeah. But I think that competitive side of Guild Ball is definitely launching nicely. There is no doubt that's taken off.
I'm very excited about it. I mean, I do realize how lucky we are to have so many events. I'll be attending as many of them as life will give me time to attend. Unfortunately, that might not be a massive amount, but as many as I can. So I am really looking forward to get stuck into that. And I'm also looking forward to hosting them as well. The one we're doing on the 4th and the 5th of July, it's actually part of a multi-format event that's going on in our club that weekend. But me and Jamie from Guild Ball TV were effectively we're using it as a bit of a dry run for a fairly big tournament we're planning at the end of the year, which is very exciting to be involved in, I must say.
Well, that's great. Well, good luck with your events, and good luck with the YouTube stuff. We'll be watching.
I appreciate that, and I will be listening.
Very good. Well, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll speak again.
Excellent. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Knees up. Watch the knives. To join the conversation, comment on the show post at guildballtonight.com or email us at guildballtonight@gmail.com. Phil can also be heard on the Game Punting podcast. Bill can also be heard on the Gamers Lounge podcast. Check them out on iTunes. It is time once again for another installment of Ox's Poetry Corner.
Obvious title. Don't bring up 7 around me. Really freaked me out.
People are going to kind of come out of the woodwork to talk back.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was guinea pigs. They went nuts. I'll have to edit that out.
Salt.
So.
His salt just ran through. Is that what it was?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.